We are almost there. Clicking one more button. Welcome, Shift Crew Empath Nation, to another episode of the Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour live here on YouTube and here on Instagram Live. Happy Monday, happy post-full moon goodness, Lion's Gate activation, if you're into that sort of thing. I'm sure, and if you're here, you're into all of those things. So what has come up, right? What are we doing here on the planet? Turns out planet Earth is a highly empowered planet. A highly empowered planet. It's astounding how empowered we are. But what we're waking up from is a state of slumber where we previously thought we weren't in power. But it turns out we're always in power. And if anybody doesn't really get that, then we need to look at that. This is a highly empowered planet of creators waking up to the fact that they are a highly empowered planet of creators that so far have just been caught up in an old dream. But nothing here on the earth can happen unless you participate in it. It was kind of funny. There's a phrase that keeps coming up for me this weekend after I went off on the power of our subconscious on Friday and how to utilize that as a creator and to get beyond that word manifest and really get more tangible with it. Like, what are the mechanics? We have to reclaim the mechanics of how this thing works so that we're not operating on, just kind of like hopefulness that it's going to work. Like when we learn the mechanics of this power as a creator, we're getting into certainty. That's the cool thing on the other side of this, is that we're getting into certainty. But the phrase that was coming up for me this weekend was, the universe has your back. And I was like, I think that's a book title. Let me just Google that real quick. And it is. It's a book by Gabrielle Bernstein. And I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan of her just because it's very mainstream stuff. And I'm a punk. And I'm kind of always wanting the alternative version or the more hardcore version. But props to her. She's out there, she's touching people's lives. But I was like, let me just kind of, I'm always interested to see how her information or anybody's information is landing with the people, right? And I wanted to see, okay, what's the negative reviews of her book, The Universe Has Your Back? And a lot of people are like, it's super lightweight. It's the Twinkie version of spirituality. But I wanted to see, like, where do people struggle? That's kind of more interested. I was more interested in finding out, where are people struggling with information? And there was one review on there that said this: Gabrielle Bernstein's recommending meditation and yoga. Who's got time for that when you've got real problems? Okay. That comment said a lot to me about, what we might be doing in our own lives when we consider where we feel disempowered, right? You got real problems. Who's got time to meditate? Who's got time for spirituality when there's real life? Okay. Loaded, loaded, right? Right. Is that loaded at all? Like, is that like, isn't it interesting how we can be tempted to create a highly empowered persona of disempowerment? I got real problems. Ain't no time to get rid of them because I'm too invested in being them. Well, it sounds like you're highly empowered being disempowered, right? And so, look, we've got to take an inventory of our own lives. Where are we highly empowered being disempowered? And that's why I was just saying earlier, we're living on a planet of this is the empowerment planet, right? This is the empowerment planet of creators who have so far been highly empowered being disempowered. And so we do the work. we check in. Where am I running a program? And, the theme of this episode is I want to see, or I'm calling it post-healed planet, right? Distraction from the work, right? Right? It's distraction because, what's the opposite of distraction? Focus. And when we focus on what we've been avoiding, well, there's going to be some real honesty coming up. Exactly, Birch Moon Wisdom. We have to take a look at that. Nothing more terrifying than succeeding. It is deep. That's a deep one. I was just writing that same thing down in my journal this weekend too. I mean, it's a constant one to check in with. Like, okay, we understand the mechanics of creation and manifestation. What if I get what I want? What if I get what I want? Am I even ready for that? Because here's the truth of getting what you want. You won't be the same person. The person who you are now, who's recognizing something that's missing in your life, when you then make it happen, you will no longer be the person who was the person without the thing. And so therefore a new personality comes into being, and it's gonna be a little freaky. It can be a little freaky getting what you want, for sure. Like that's something to really truly recognize, and I wonder what that is, right? Right now, let's break it down. Like, why would we be afraid of getting what we want? Because getting what we want is what we want, right? That's why we keep asking for it. So the only reason why we're not getting it sometimes is because we're more committed to being the highly empowered, disempowered version of ourselves, and the body being a home for our most dominant thoughts is getting high off our own supply of being disempowered. So I just want to tap in there. Gratitude is definitely a massive part of this equation on aligning with what you want. Definitely. And what you've had so far. And boy, oh boy, when we start taking an inventory of what we've gotten so far and how good our lives are, when we take a look at the basics, like you can breathe. I mean, that there is massive. You have hopefully use of your limbs. You can think. You're not suffering from something, like we have that power. Most people aren't aware of what they have. And and I like what you're saying, Birch Moon. It's like pure freedom. Now what? Well, I'll tell you. I mean, that is, we think that's what we're manifesting is pure freedom. But really, I'm just saying, like, how about just getting that relationship you want, or getting that career you want, or getting that next thing you want? I'm saying, like, sometimes those quote unquote simple things that we think are like, oh, obvious. I want the best relationship ever. You're like, oh, actually, I might be terrified. I might actually be terrified of getting the relationship I want. And I check in with that with me all the time. Like, ooh, wait a second. Did I really order that pizza? now I got to eat it. But part of the theme, of a post-healed planet would be this. A planet of highly empowered people being disempowered, who then wake up to their power of where they've been applying their attention. And then suddenly we're living on a post-healed planet. And I was getting real feisty with myself this weekend, and I was like, what if I start a campaign? This is it. I'm making the declaration. I'll make the declaration right now. I want to be out of a job as an intuitive, a guide, a healer by 2023. I want every healer and intuitive to be out of a job by 2023. 5 years from now, basically 5 years from now, I want everybody who's in the healing industry to be out of a job, including myself. Because that would mean we live in a planet that has woken up to its own use of its own power and now lives daily, moment by moment, in that full awareness of how to consciously use and effectively use and positively use the power that has been with us the whole time. So let's shoot for that. Let's shoot for being all out of a job by 2023, because we now live on a planet that gets the fact that we're infinite creators and we're living it. There's no more being highly empowered as a disempowered. We have got to, if we're committed to, look, we've got to throw down the line. We got to throw it down at some point. Yeah, you're feeling it. I know. We got to throw it down at some point and be like, there is a finish line. There is a finish line to this. And if we are truly saying, look, I stand for New Earth, then you can't be in old Earth while you're simultaneously on old Earth. You know, New Earth, old Earth. Like, what side are you going to be on? And if you're going to be in New Earth, then that means you living in your full power, aligned with the nature of the cosmos, the sacred mathematics of creation, the Mother Earth, Gaia, Tonantzin, and you're recognizing your choices and you're making the ones that are in alignment with life. You're making life-affirming life choices. And you're not making choices, because right now where we're caught up is that a lot of us are making new choices in reaction to a world that is going away. Let's anchor that in. A lot of us are making choices in reaction to a world that is on its way out, right? Business as usual is highly unusual in the modern industrial world because it's disconnected from the very cosmos and Mother Earth that is its foundation for its existence. So you can't be on old Earth if you're on New Earth. And that means living on a post-healed planet. And why not set that finish line 5 years from now? And the reason why that's possible is because we're all connected. And we hold each other accountable, and we share the skills, and we build the skills, right? So, I mean, the truth of anything, how do you get good at anything? If we're going to get good at being post-healed, how do you get good at anything, right? You put in the time. Yeah, stop being reactionary and more visionary. We put in the time. So like that lady who wrote the angry review for The Universe Has Your Back, I got real problems. Sounds like you got real strong application of your power having problems. So right now we have to say, look, if you're not making time to treat yourself correctly, then it's time for you to begin. If you're not taking time to stop complaining and over analyzing what the rest of the world is doing, then it's time for you to make time to handle your stuff and to do it in the way that is the proper technique. There is a proper technique to this. And so it's understanding, those mechanics of what I drilled down on, those three big things: who you are, what you are, and where you are. Like when we really tap into that, those things are not up for grabs. Those things are very much kind of like mechanically created in a way by the universe. Like you have a function, right? You function in a certain way. When you breathe in oxygen, right, it gets transferred to the blood, not randomly sometime every time. There's a straight up biological mechanics to how you breathe in air, and then that turns into oxygen for the blood, right? There's a straight up undeniable mechanics to how creating as a manifester or a magician or a sorcerer or a witch or a new ager or a light worker or a starseed, no matter what label you want to put on it, there is straight up the universal mechanics of how this goes down, right? So that's what we want clarity on so that we get our handle on this. Well, good to catch you, mommy underscore. Yes, catch it on the replay. And again, I'll do the little pitch of what's going on here. Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour. The video is on YouTube forever. Don't worry if you don't get it in the next 24 hours here on Instagram. Here on YouTube, of course, the videos are up as long as YouTube exists or doesn't ban this type of information. Yeah, and we can again check in with each other every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. PST. And again, just so stoked to see everybody here on the Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour. I'm going to take a drink of water. So post-healed world by 2023. I'm glad you're down for it. I'm glad you're excited about it. Just let me say this. Look, if you want to go deeper on these things, I am posting information about this, like the techniques, in the private Facebook group, which is called the Obsidian Blade Shift Crew. And the link to that is under this video here on YouTube or in the bio here on Instagram. And yeah, this past weekend, I gave some homework there and got really deep into the technique of, being a empowered creator. And I do hope that you go and check it out and join, because that's, of course, where we can have a deeper back and forth of, again, this mechanics, right? The biological mechanics and the mental, spiritual, cosmic mechanics of how we are creators and how to follow that flow so that you are getting the results that you're seeking. And here on my notes, one of the interesting things that I had going on this past weekend was, again, look, living by that law. Like, we've got to live by these new laws, right? The universe has your back, right? And I was getting into, okay, within our own minds, the fleshy gray matter in your skull, 5% of your mind is objective consciousness, right? The other 95%, as we were talking on Friday, is the subconscious. And we were getting into not getting overwhelmed by, like, how do I get a handle on my subconscious? Because truly, in a lot of ways, it's the subconscious which contains the power that actualizes your beliefs into reality. But we can have, what we've been doing is transforming that relationship so that we feel good about that. We feel awesome and empowered that we actually have a power of 95% that is wanting the best for us. A 95% of us that is capable of creating anything, and it wants to create what our conscious 5% mind wants. And that the 95% is like a wild team of infinitely powerful horses. But the only way that they are directed is through the 5% of your conscious mind. And that you don't need to worry about the 95%. Let the 95% be the power. You be the rider. You be the one who holds the reins and guides that ship or guides that team of horses, right? So just as the subconscious is always listening for direction in where to go via the conscious mind saying, yes, we're going in this direction. And by the way, there is only one word in the universe that the universe knows, as well as this, your universe and subconscious are the same thing. There's only one word that your subconscious and the universe of creation knows, and it is this one word. It is yes. It only knows going forward. Yes. Yes, I will create that thing that you don't want, or yes, I will create that thing that you do want. And that's why it's imperative that we be the rider. We be the captain or the queen or the king of our own kingdom, or our own landscape, our own dominion. Otherwise, that team of horses is going to be saying yes, or you're going to be saying yes to things subconsciously or just randomly or haphazardly, and you're going to be getting yes. So look, reality doesn't lie. We treat reality as the clear and accurate mirror of what we have chosen up until this point. We do not argue with reality because it is the manifestation. It is the clean mirror. It is the accurate place to look for the clues as to what you have chosen so far. And so the mechanics that we're working with, we don't go out and then take our hands and grip with reality and manipulate it in a way that is, going to deplete us of energy. We get into that creator space and we look to what we've been saying yes to, whether we've been awake at the wheel or asleep at the wheel. But the wheel is there the whole time. And, the mechanics of this is that the universe / your subconscious is always listening to you. It's always listening to you. It's never not listening to you. So we have a responsibility there. We have a responsibility here to be like, oh, the mic is on. The mic is on. And what I'm saying, either with my mouth, my mind, or my emotions, my feelings, the tangible expression of my thinking, the mic is on. The mic is on. So it's like a mic check. Like, oh, it's not even a mic check. Oh, is this on? It's like, it's on. Are you aware that it's on? And are you paying close attention to when you're being focused and to when you're being unfocused? Because that's the danger point. When we get unfocused, we tend to drift into the old patterns, right? There's a drifting to somewhere else. And I caught a drifting this weekend, and I thought it was really, really interesting. So do you ever have those moments where you're like sitting at your desk, or you're driving sometimes, and you see something or you get an idea, and then you start going into a fantasy? You start going into like a holographic parallel dimension where that idea starts to work itself out. It could be like an argument with a person, or how you're going to say something to somebody, or maybe you're just even drifting off about like what you need to get at the grocery store, and suddenly you're in the aisle of the grocery store looking at the object going like, should I get this thing or that thing? But meanwhile, in reality, you're in your car, or you're sitting at your desk at your office, right? So there's a moment there where we slip off into fantasy. So I caught myself doing that because, okay, again, the mic is on, the universe is always listening. What we're fantasizing about is also, it's a thought, which then creates feelings. And then the universe is going like, oh, would you like more of that? I'd love to give you more of that because I love you. I just give you what you want. So you're letting me know what you want by thinking and feeling, right? That's our job. That's the conscious part that owns the show. So I noticed myself. So I was at a stoplight in my car, and I saw a deranged man, like a man who's obviously got mental problems. He was crossing the crosswalk in front of me, and it was one of those, human beings that have, unfortunately, a level of mental problems where you're like, it's the violent level. Like, okay, if that guy looks in my direction, he's going to come my way and he's going to start to battle it out with me. It's like, we all have seen very mentally disturbed people on that level. So I was just like looking at him, but he kept going. He kept going across, and he crossed the street, and I'm still at the red light. But my mind started slipping into the parallel, like fantasy, or working it out where we did get into an argument. Like, it's really, really weird. Like, I have to catch myself. I go into these fantasies, and suddenly I'm in this fantasy of getting into an argument with this guy and having to defend myself and like fighting with this guy. And then in my mind, the cops show up, and then the cops don't understand what's going on. And then the cops are going to like arrest me and things like that. And I was like, all at the stoplight. And I was like, hold on, check that. The universe is listening right now. The universe is listening to me right now. Why would I even go into that? Why would I go into a scenario where suddenly the cop is not listening to me? I got to this state where it was going to be a really argumentative thing. And I was like, that's because I'm fantasizing about not being listened to, because I believe that nobody listens to me. I have not a dominant belief, but I have a subtle belief, definitely stemming from childhood, that, oh, what I believe is not important and no one's listening to me. So it's interesting how these beliefs are trying to find a way out of us. And so if we haven't handled that belief, then we're going to start fantasizing about that belief in order for us to give us the feeling that gives us one of two opportunities. Either we have the thought and then we continue the feeling and then we get more of the same, or we have an awakening where we have the thought and then the feeling, and then we go, you know what? This is my opportunity for different. This is my opportunity to be like, people do listen to me. That's not my reality now. So we can let go of that. And I'm going to step into right now that space of people are listening to me, and I am seen and I am heard. And it's my responsibility to anchor that even further and live that. If it's not true, I can make it more true by focusing my thoughts and feelings on the creation of that, if I need that. And so we do that. So again, there was that interesting thing of what you're fantasizing about is you trying to work something out that you probably haven't handled, but it's coming up for review, right? Somehow maybe life's not manifesting that for you, so you're fantasizing about it, and check in with it. Like, it could be money, it could be relationships, it could be again, these mantras that we've created in ourselves that then get woven into the subconscious, where like, oh, it's going to be a fight to be heard, right? Maybe that's what I was working out in my mind in that scenario at the stoplight where I went into pure fantasy. It's going to be a fight to be heard. Is that true? And then I can do the homework and I can do the investigation and find out, actually, that's not true. So, what are you fantasizing about, and what are you, can you take that moment to check in and be like, the universe is listening. You are a creator and the universe is listening. What are you focusing your attention upon? Consciously and sometimes unconsciously. Yeah. Good to see everyone here. Don't worry, again, this video lives on YouTube. You can always go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, the link to that is in the bio, and all these videos, all the audio gets cleaned up and all the craziness taken out and put on the podcast, which is, you can go to theobsidianblade.com/subscribe. It's going to be on Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher, and you can always listen to the podcast and subscribe to that and get the audio, so you don't always have to watch the video. You can just listen to the audio when you're taking a nice walk, focusing upon the life that you want. Yeah, sure. I like what you're saying there, Birch Moon. It's like, sometimes it's worth taking the risk to be unstable. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what's that definition of crazy? Like, it might be crazy. The definition of crazy might be you pretending to be normal, or the definition of crazy might be you taking your creator power to fulfill other people's versions of reality while ignoring your own. That's crazy. And New Earth, a post-healed planet by 2023, New Earth is a planet filled with people creating anything and everything that's true for them, regardless or not if society has even acknowledges it. It doesn't, like, this is not a popularity contest. Like, you being a creator is not a popularity contest. And I know we're all leaving that realm where we've had to receive affirmation for our creation by becoming popular. But this act of empowerment is not a popularity contest. The act of your empowerment is your salvation. And salvation meaning saving your ass from continually living in hellish versions of your own creation. You don't need to be popular to save your ass. And may you get into the driver's seat, because like I said, the universe is always listening. It's listening right now. It's listening right now, and it has your back. It's listening to you right now. The mic is on, and it has your back. And a subtle thing about that is like, okay, the universe has my back. You could always think as like, oh, well, maybe that's that word faith. But in the past, for me, that word faith is somewhat, again, kind of esoteric or loosey-goosey. It's not concrete. What we want here by getting into the mechanics of the creation is we want concrete. I want to feel that 95% of my subconscious. I want to feel that the universe has my back. I don't want to just have a kind of whimsical faith, an airy-fairy faith. I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to really get into that phrase, the universe has my back, and I'm going to feel it pushing me forward. I'm going to go like, I've got something in my corner. I've got a badass level of energy in my corner, and I'm not just having faith around it, I'm living it. I want to really encourage that switch into living the fact that the universe has your back. Like, it's not an idea, it's a reality. As much as gravity is a reality for you right now. Operate from that place that your job is to know that it has your back, and that you have to guide the universe to what is being created next by focusing upon what you do want and then feeling that in your body. So don't go out there and pound the pavement looking for a job. You've got a job. And it is you moving into full empowerment and knowledge and living wisdom of you as a creator, so that we can get to what I'm throwing down the gauntlet for 2023, being a post-healed New Earth, where people are just creators. And, I don't know if anybody catching on right now, I'm setting up I'm laying it down. I want every healer and wisdom coach and guide to be out of a job by 2023, because everybody has now come online with their own inner divine, and we're post-victimhood. We're post-trauma. We have got to get there at some point. So we might as well say, I'm committed by 2023. I'm giving myself and you and the whole planet 5 years. Within 5 years, because of the power of technology that we can harness to share ideas and hold each other accountable, and get really well practiced, like get time in the gym, make the time. You don't have the time, make the time. If you don't have the time, cancel Netflix. If you don't have the time, wake up earlier. If you don't have the time, lose some friends that you're wasting your time with, and make the time to get the mechanics of you as a creator, like within your grasp. You've got to get it in your hand and use it It's a tool. The tool is already here. It's already on. It's happening all the time. You've been living it your whole life. Now it's time to take every aspect of that tool that you think has been disempowering your life and realize you've just been powerfully disempowered because it requires your power to participate in anything and everything you have lived so far. So it's time to clean up your act. It's as I'm cleaning up my act, and get comfortable, get real comfortable experiencing the things that you do want, because we've all been too comfortable experiencing the things we don't want. I'll underline that again. We've all become way too comfortable creating the things that we don't want, and then setting ourselves up for misery as if that's the only end game we deserve. And so we'd clean up the house, our own lives, by realizing the mechanics of creation and you as a creator, you're not waiting for that to happen. You were born as a creator. So what have you created so far, and how would you like to change, and how would you like to feel different? Realizing that disappointment doesn't have to be part of the creation going forward. Same job, mirroring truth. Now everybody is holding one. Yeah. Accountability. Raising the bar, holding the mirror in the hall of mirrors, because that's what reality really is the hall of reflections. Cleaning up the mirrors, definitely polishing them until we see clearly what we've been participating in. So, this was another subtle thing that I was catching, especially driving. Driving for me is like very interesting. So again, like we're all used to being disappointed. Like I would say a lot of us have been used to disappointment. We've been trained that disappointment is a part of this. We've also been trained to be negatively triggered, right? We all understand what a trigger is, right? So a sound occurs or a person drives in a certain way, it's going to trigger us to be mad, or it's going to trigger us to be depressed, or it's going to trigger us to have a certain response that we've had a hand in creating. But we're all very well aware of how we are negatively triggered, but how aware are we of being positively triggered? And shifting our focus. It's really always a shift of focus. Like, are you more prone to being negatively triggered, or are you more prone to being positively triggered, where feelings of happiness arise when something happens, or elation, or joy, or love, or ecstasy, or whatever it is? Can you switch your focus to being either neutral, where you're just in a nice, beautiful homeostasis of like good feeling? Or can you be positively triggered so that you're moving in that direction towards neutrality of homeostasis? It's just something that I notice in myself, especially when driving. Am I readying myself to being negatively triggered? Or can I, via my senses, be on the lookout, be available to, be receptive to being positively triggered, so that I can be reminded of the awesomeness of life on a conscious planet in space within a conscious universe. Shifting the focus from the negative to the positive, to then get back to the equilibrium of the neutral state, right? Because we don't want to always be in a pendulum swing between bad days, good days, bad feelings, great feelings, you know, really the middle of the path is what we're after, with a slight leaning towards the ecstatic and the joy and the bliss, but not overindulging in it, because again, that would be an extremism of the pendulum, of the polarities. What we want is sustainable, joyful, bountiful neutrality in our energy. Homeostasis is a word for it. But again, shift your focus. Just take that inventory. Are you more prone to negative reaffirmation, or are you more prone and on the lookout for positive affirmation, positive thought, positive experience, being triggered to be positive? Okay, being triggered to be reminded of your power if you're slipping off into a sleep zone where you're forgetting about your power. So that's a very important thing. I mean, because the mic is on, the universe is listening. So if you're just going in a loop about what's not working or what makes you angry, what are you going to get more of? When you really, really hyper focus on it. A random thought here and there isn't going to be a manifestation. We all understand that it's deeply focused thought with deeply embodied feeling multiple times a day is going to be what's the universe is going to provide for you, what your subconscious is going to creatively create for you as a reality. But a random thought here and a random negative thought and a random positive thought really won't bring you the results you're looking for. Or don't be afraid. Don't be over concerned if you're having a negative thought. Just be concerned if you're having a negative thought on repeat and then living in the embodied feelings of that negative thought until you're really living in hell that you had a hand in creating. That's where we have to be on point. So again, you know, life can be seen as a series of events that offer us contrast, right? So we're shifting from that, you know, look, being negatively triggered can give you an opportunity to really ask yourself, okay, I don't like how that feels. What would I like, right? What would I like? And to let those negative sparks be an opportunity for contrast to guide you to what you do want. Yeah. Yay. Thank you, Birchman Wisdom. See you in the shift crew. So yes, getting to that, you know, the faith, the feeling, the empowerment. And I just want to say this, you know, I wrote this actually in the shift crew, which is the private Facebook. If you're not a part of the private Facebook group, that's where we're getting deeper on the mechanics and answering questions for each other and holding each other accountable to this mechanics of creation. The link to that on Instagram is in the bio, or the link to that is under this video. But I wrote there this weekend, you know, we hear a lot this word sovereignty. And I think a lot of people can think of that word sovereignty as being, oh, I'm free. Sovereignty actually is related to being a ruler of your kingdom, a king or a queen or a ruler, sovereign, a sovereign. So recognize, well, what's the definition of a sovereign? So recognize that sovereign really means this. Sovereignty or being a sovereign really means this. Recognize that you are the only and indisputable voice of creation inside your mind. When you anchor that, then choose very wisely what you speak. For all of the loving power of the universe and your subconscious seeks to provide you with that which you command into reality. So you literally live on a throne of power inside of yourself. You are the sovereign. You are the sovereign. And to actualize sovereignty is again to recognize that you are the only and indisputable voice of creation inside your mind. So choose very wisely what you speak, sovereign, for all of the loving power of the universe, which is also the subconscious, seeks to provide you with that which you command. And that is really truly stepping into the throne of your empowerment. You are the sovereign. You are the sovereign. And something else that I shared in the Shift Crew on the private Facebook group, which again, please join. It's there. It's free. I know the guy who created it. I'll let you in. I've got the keys to the kingdom. The other aspect to creation and manifesting, right? Focusing our thoughts, feeling them, and then going, okay, there is a process by which we're going to get what we want. And a lot of times you've heard this maybe through Abraham Hicks, right? There's this phrase, the art of allowing. But I started to really tap into it this weekend, and I was like, allowing is really that power of yes. I feel that word allow is really yes. So we are stepping into the power of yes. Okay, we're getting our yes on. Okay, so yes, I want that, and yes, I can think about it because I'm free to think about it, and yes, I can. Then after I think and focus upon it, I'm gonna conjure the feelings in me. So I'm saying yes, but yes, Virgo Earth Goddess, yes is going to be the first step. Is yes, but the second step to then experiencing what you're creating is to receive it. And I wrote a big homework assignment / blog post called Reclaiming the Throne to the Empire of Yes. And that once we've said yes, and we are the queen and the king and the sovereign sitting on their throne to live in sovereignty, you're going to have to learn the art of receiving. And I think there's a really powerful connection with what's going on with the feminine rising up now in our culture, and the feminine rising up both in men and women to be rebalanced, to be honored, and to be lived from. The essence of the feminine is the art of receiving. I mean, definitely in sexuality, right? Our primal creation that we all take a part in. The feminine is the active receiver of the masculine. So I think there's a parallel between what's going on in our sex and in our manifestations, because they're both creations, in that in order to receive your creation, your manifestation, you're going to need to step in and be in the feminine side of your energy, which is the active state of receiving. So there's something about being vulnerable. There's something about being vulnerable and open to receive your new creation. Because if we take the opposite and you're firm and you're pushing outwards, how are you going to receive if you're an outward pushing energy, which is the masculine energy? Masculine is the outward going force. Feminine is the inward going force. So there is really something about where we are in time of our culture and the healing that's going on with the feminine, which parallels our ability to actually receive our own manifestations. Do you feel me on this? Do you get that? There's a connection. And so whether you're a man or a woman, we all have feminine and masculine energies within us. We both play with those in order to create what we want and then live and take action to get what we want and to experience what we want. We're all, no matter your sex, your body type, you're dealing with both energies. And in order to receive your manifestation, this means living in a state of vulnerability. But what's the state that a woman gets into, or a person who's deeply in their feminine energy in sex and in relationship? What does the feminine need to do in order to receive the masculine energy in sex. The feminine needs to feel a couple of things, which is safe, right? The feminine needs to feel safe and to be seen and to be honored and to have a high level of consensual participation. But it's definitely about feeling safe and relaxed. And so again, if you're a man or a woman, you have to get into the feminine energy of receiving. And in order to do that, you've got to feel safe and relaxed in order to get what you want, in order to become the thing that you're calling forth. Otherwise, you're going to be living in an outward pushing force that's not going to let that in. So I think there's a very interesting connection between, of course, being a creator, our sexuality, and the healing that's going on with the feminine right now, where the feminine needs to be seen and honored and made safe and secure and relaxed in order for yes, to be experienced. Yes doesn't have a home if the door is closed. Do you feel me on that? So the healing you do on yourself and the healing that's going on in our relationships is the same healing that's going on for us as creators. As we reclaim the throne to the empire of yes, we are healing both our masculine and feminine energies within us and realizing that to be good receivers of our new realities or receivers of the things that we're manifesting, we're going to have to be vulnerable and open. Like literally the port, right? Like if we go back 300 years to the great age of sailing ships and how commerce is put on a boat or a ship and it's got to sail across the Atlantic. Okay, so say goods are coming from India and they're on ships and they're going to come into port into New York. If the harbor in New York is closed, there's no way these beautiful exotic goods that you ordered from India are going to get off the ship and put on the carts and distributed throughout the city of New York. So the same thing is for our life. Is your port, is your harbor safe and secure, but also is it open for business? Are you open for business? And that does mean, open means vulnerable on a certain level and feeling safe. And, you can be safe and secure and open if you're conscious of what you're calling forth. There's a danger to being a unconscious creator, because if your port is open, then you're unconsciously creating things that are going to do you harm. And that's why, again, like I'm drilling down in this episode, the microphone is on, the universe is listening, the subconscious is listening, it has your back, it's saying yes to everything that you hyper focus upon and feel, and you're going to receive it. So if reality is showing you your creation so far and you take an inventory rather than feeling victimized by it, remember, you powerfully created everything, so you're always in power. Even though what you may have created might not feel good, you powerfully created it. So that's an indicator that, hey, at least you haven't lost your power. You're powerfully creating things that you may not like, but you are powerful. So switch gears and get into the good feelings. And it's going to take a little time. You may have been practicing what you don't like for 10, 20 or more years. So realize, yes, you can change overnight, but for long-term gear shifts of manifestation, it will take a little time. And to be patient and gentle and kind with yourself, but also disciplined and hard on yourself to put in the hours, to put in the time in the psychic gym so that you're building the muscles and cementing that new direction. Being vulnerable is sometimes hard, Earth Goddess, but I agree that if we feel safe and secure instead of victimized, it's much easier to live our more authentic selves. Yeah. You know, I hope it makes sense. It has to make sense at some point. This is a powerful planet of creators. We're not waiting for the creation gear to be like downloaded or given to us. You're born as a creator. We're just waking up to what we've participated in so far. This planet, if you could see it from the outside, people are like, other like entities and dimensions are like, it's a whole planet. Check this out. It's a whole planet filled with empowered creators. Not one of us is not an empowered creator. Oh, there can be victims. There can be people who deny this. There's people who really, really suffer, but I guarantee you, everybody on this planet is an empowered creator. We're not waiting any longer. So what we have to do in order to shift the entire planet is to hold everyone accountable to this level of empowerment and not take any more excuses, no matter how convincing those excuses are. Oh, I got a job. I got kids. I got this. I got that. Yeah, well, you powerfully signed up for it. You powerfully signed up for it. So you can take that same power and use it in different ways. We cannot continue to deny that we're not powerful. And we cannot continue to let others get away with excuses around their own power, because it just perpetuates the same dream that some of us tend to complain about. And New Earth is not about complaining. That's what old Earth is for. New Earth is about flexing those muscles all day, every day. Make the time to learn that mechanics of your creator power. And again, I got 1 minute left here on Instagram Live. Again, we're nailing that. We're getting that down longer and in more depth on the private Facebook group, the group. It's called the Shift Crew. The link for that in Instagram is here in the bio. Link to that is underneath this video in YouTube. I'm going to sign off there. What can I say? The universe has your back. It's listening to you right now. Really be awake at all hours of the day as to what you're feeding your next living reality. Love you so much, Shift Crew, Empath Nation, Obsidian Blade, Medicine Hour, live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you there on Wednesday. Again, join the Shift Crew, and we'll have our breakthrough, because it's the HQ for your breakthrough. I love you so much. Catch you soon.